Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Vishwam Darpana Dishyamana Nagari Tulyam Nijantargatam Pashyan Atmani Mayaya Bahirivodbhutam Yata Nidraya Yat Sakshat Kurute Prabodha Samaye Swatmanamevadvayam Tasmai Shri Gurumurtaye Namahitam Shri Dakshinamurtaye. So the result of the Ananda Prakriya, Ananda Viveka Prakriya, Ananda Viveka Vichara. Vichara means to really think about it. This is the thing. It's just we need to know what is going on, basically. And data has been given to you, but if you don't complete the thinking, then you continue to be in relative trouble. But if you really grasp the completeness of it, this is yasmin vigyate sati sarvam vidyatam bhavati. Do you know everything? If you don't, then you only have incomplete analysis. You don't know everything. So the essence of the Ananda Viveka Vichara is that there is an underlying unconditional sukham from which the conditional sukhams come and go. We are based on this, adhisthana. And that is, who is that? You. You are the one. So this is what is called Ananda, or Atma, is what is called Parama Prema Aspadam. There's an expression used called Parama Prema Aspadam. So, in Vedantic literature, everything is very precisely defined. You may have explanations of it that require some detail and so on, but there is in fact an airtight definition that you can resort to over and over again. That's called Parama Prema Aspadam. So Parama Prema Aspadam, Aspadam means adhisthana. It means the basis, the place. What kind of an adhisthana? What kind of an aspadam? It means Parama Prema. Parama Prema means the ultimate love, the ultimate sukham. It is the place where sukham emanates from. And you need to analyze it, convince your mind, and as a result, lead a life consistent with this analysis. That I don't, when you say it doesn't matter to me, then the question is, this may not matter to you, but does something matter to you? You see, you cannot say this doesn't matter to me. So this is a very beautiful thing to see. Even the statement that this doesn't matter. Why do you say that? Because you have a basis from which you can say, this doesn't matter, basis on me. You see what I'm saying? A simple statement and it says, this doesn't matter. If you analyze the content of this statement, this doesn't matter to me, doesn't matter to me. It is a reflection of the fact that something does matter to you. Based on that, this doesn't matter. So right now, this doesn't matter is relative. And it's just sporadic. It is, transactional or whatever. You can use your words like that. But I think if you look at the pattern and draw the conclusions, you begin to say, my goodness, it's because it keeps happening over and over again, because your whole drishti is towards somehow, things make me happy. When you eat ice cream, you feel very good. Why does that happen? So what conclusion is, I love ice cream. Too bad I can't eat too much of it because I don't want to gain too much weight. But I love ice cream. So, this is another interesting thing, how you should see this. This is why we need to study the Vedantic literature, because step by step it tells you, here's your keki, here's you're making a mistake, here's where you are making a mistake, here's where you're making a mistake, here's the right way to go. This is what we need to do. So when you say, we all love to eat ice cream, I think maybe some of you are allergic to, one of my relatives, she has discovered allergy to milk. So she makes a lot of things with milk for others, but she cannot eat it anymore. And so, except for that, we all love ice cream. It's nice and cool with a lot of sugar in it. And for a while, this is a good example of bhoga. Wonderful. So when you eat ice cream, what's your conclusion? What's your conclusion? Conclusion is, ice cream is an object that gives me bhoga. So if you go to the local store and buy ice cream, what you get is ice cream, not happiness. There is no section in Safeway which says happiness. Happiness 1, happiness 2. No such thing. Where is the happiness? You eat ice cream, but you experience happiness here. Think about it. So where is the place? This is interesting. Remember, we were analyzing what is the location of drishya? What is the location of drishya we were analyzing? And what we concluded was that drishya cannot be at any place other than drik. It is located in the drik. Cannot be. You analyze it and you find out it's not there. It's not there, it's not there. It's actually in me. So this we will go into more detail. But if you look into that as the experience of the ice cream, the ice cream, the coolness of it, the sugarness of it, the very experience of it, it's a very interesting thing how we all enjoy that. It's all of us. So there is a certain what is called taratamya. Taratamya means there is a certain range, I don't know, that's not the right word, but there's a variety, a very structured variety that Ishvara has given, that under certain circumstances, your sense organs and the objects will give you certain pleasure. And so, this is why we love good aroma. And if it is a bad smell, then, and it is very interesting, it is all because of species. The human species likes pleasant things. They are animals that like, because when there is some shit on the ground, it is very important for the bugs. They love it. So there is a certain taratamya about what gives you pleasure. Be it as it may, regardless of that, some things give you pleasure, some things they don't. Where is the pleasure located? You cannot buy 2 ounces of happiness. You can buy 2 ounces of ice cream. But the sukham is always with you. The location. So the drishya maybe appears to be outside, but really it is located in you. So therefore, with this kind of analysis, you have to see that I'm fooling myself. I'm fooling myself by thinking that everything, my happiness is all scattered. This gives me happiness, this gives me happiness, this gives me happiness. You impart happiness based on your tastes. In the discussions, a very common thing is, I love to visit temples. Just in our breakfast we were just talking about, love to visit temples. The temples give you happiness. You have decided that kind of there is a devata sitting there with pujas being done, people are nice. That gives me happiness. Really, temples are like a sophisticated ice cream. This is what it is. And eventually you will find the real temple is your own heart. You have to see Ishvara. Now at this time you have to say, I don't know where Ishvara is, but it'll be very nice to go and do puja on the Dakshinamurti. Very nice to go to Char Dham and this, that or the other. So you think that Ishvara is all located, scattered all over the place. Is it in your heart? No. It's not. I'm just a simple person. This needs to change. Not change, but this needs to. It's everywhere. But really, aspadam, parama prema aspadam, is the Atma. You have to discover that. So this is the essence of the first prakriya. Now let's go to the second prakriya. So this prakriya is the viveka between what is life and what is lifeless. Chetana and Jada. Right? What is alive? What is sentient, alive. And you know what sentience is. So it's very interesting. From a transactional level, or even you can even say from the human science level, what is alive is one that seems to move. And what doesn't move is not alive. This often happens in our house. You suddenly discover there's a black spot on the ground right next to where you're sitting. And you say, is this a bug? Or is it something that was a dropping? So as you go close to it, if it moves, you say, oh, it's a bug. If it just stays there lifeless, without moving, you say, this is not alive. This is just a rock, piece of rock. This is the distinction that we make. This distinction is not true from a Vedantic standpoint. So what is the distinction between the Vedantic standpoint? What is Chaitanya and what is... Now let us do that analysis. So, I will just give you the short answer first and then explain it. Just like Parama Prema Aspadam. So the short answer is, from a standpoint of the Vedantic view, the distinction between Chaitanya and Jada is this. Chaitanya is one which is awareful without any help, is independent, and it has the ability to impart awareness to others. Of course, it is aware of itself, and it is also aware of others. It is independent and sufficient without any help, doesn't need any help. This is what is called sentient, and we call it Chit Swarupam, Jnanam. And again, I would just ask you to, whenever you want to really look into this, all these things are not theoretical. They are real that you have to see. We just, because of our prior condition, we don't see it, but we should see it. I know is that Chit Swarupam. That I know is Swayam Jyotihi, Swayam Siddhaha. This is a very important thing to see. I really could see this when Swami Dayanandaji was teaching. There are a lot of the Advaitam of myself I could not see. But the Swatasiddhatvam and Swayam Vibhutitvam I could see. When he explained that, that really was wonderful. So see that. When you say, I know, This I know-ness, I know. Just look at this. You don't need any help for it. You don't need any conditions. It's you. It's your nature. See this. See this again and again during the day. This is Nididhyasanam. This is so funny, people's idea of Nididhyasanam. We have some students in our, I won't name them, but they invite people to give Nididhyasanam classes. Oh, let's do and invite this such and such Swami to give us Nididhyasanam. Give us some texts that are Nididhyasanam based. So silly. Nididhyasanam means your own directly looking at it. Yes, you can invite people and say, I don't know how to do it. That's okay. But the Nididhyasanam eventually is to directly look at it. In this, we went over this text some time ago. It's where Nididhyasanam is detailed out in several verses. Aparoksha Anubhuti, I think, is the text that it has hit. So in there, it was a very interesting thing. They say that in the matter of doing puja, there are rules as to when you should do puja, under what condition. You cannot do puja when you are dirty, you have not taken a bath, and you have not brushed your teeth. That's not good. Because if you want to do puja, you have to have certain pavitratvam. Because the recipient is pavitra, and you cannot go to the temple without, you have to leave the shoes out, and so on and so forth. So this is the structure of doing puja. And the same structure is doing dhyanam. When you're doing dhyanam, it should be done in the morning. When you are trying to become calm and so on and so forth. So there are some where you should do that. But in Nididhyasanam, there are no rules. No rules. In fact, you should do it at any time. You can be sitting in the bathroom. You can be taking a shower. You can be eating. And the more you do it, the better off you will be. So I hope that one thing you should do sometime is just think about you're thinking, you're talking, and so on and so forth, all that is good. But just think about, my God, what is common amongst all of this? I know. And I know means that if there is something there, then you know this. But the I knowness never disappears. It's not as though when the object disappears, the I knowness also disappears. Does that ever happen? The drishya can depend on the drik, but the drik doesn't depend on the drishya. Drik is the I know. Swata siddha, swayam bhuta. So in Vedantic terms, the sentience is defined differently than what is called laukika. Laukika means in the loka. In the loka, which includes science, if you ask somebody, hey, what is the difference between lifeless and lifelessness? They'll say it's very simple. You just test if the thing is moving, if it is blinking or something, then it means it is alive. It has sukshma sharira, it's alive. It has some organs and so on. And if it is dead, then it is lifeless. Not in Vedanta. In Vedanta, the sentience is when it is independently existing. Because, just look at this. For a bug to be alive means you cannot squish it. You cannot squish it, because if it squish it, it loses its body and it becomes dead. So its sentience depends on its body and its health. Similarly, our sentience apparently depends on our body and our health. This is what happens when the doctors go and look at somebody. They'll say, oh, there's no pulse. I think he's dead. They do a little bit more. Sometimes the pulse, I don't know, maybe the pulse can come back, so there might be some grace period, but after they'll say, no. So we also say that the human beings are alive or not alive based on their ability to be breathing. Their heart should be there, and if the heart is not pumping, gone. Not true for the Atma. It may be true for the body, for the jiva, not for the Atma. Why not? Because the Atma is independently awareful and makes everybody else also aware. The pujari does this every day. Na tatra suryo bhati na chandra tarakam nema vidyuto bhanti kuto yam agnihi tameva bhantam anubhati sarvam tasya bhasa sarvamidam vibhati. Such truth. Same thing in Bhagavad Gita. Na tat bhasayate suryaha na shashanko na pavakaha yat katva na nivartante taddhama paramam mama. Same thing. What does it mean? So just look at this. So when you say bhasam, bhasam means the light. And awareness and light are one and the same thing. As we were discussing in the movie example, so in the movie example you have a very strong light. And so the awareness is that light. I know. That is the light. That is the awareness. This is what we are talking about. That is the Driksvarupam. Okay? This is the Atma. I know. So, this awareness, let's analyze this part. The sun, which is the most important source of light in our universe. There are different sources of suns for other universes. Universe means just the whole, just the Goloka, the whole thing. No, not the entire cosmos, but our way, the one where the earth is. So every creation has to have a sun. This is why doing namaskara to sun in the morning is doing namaskara to Ishvara. Because how is Ishvara going to, how else is he going to present himself? He has to give you sun, which is without light, no life is possible. Without heat, no life is possible. Without energy, no life is possible. So he gives you sun. Okay, now let's look at this physical sun. The sun is lighting up all the trees. It's lighting up indirectly this room. It's lighting you up. Is it lighting your awareness? No. It can light all the things. So what happens is that the sun and other sources of light, Chandram, Tarakam, Vidyuta, Agnihi, all these, na tatra suryo bhati na chandra tarakam na vidyuto kutoyam agnihi. All these are to make drishya visible. But is it making the drik visible? No. It cannot. It cannot. In fact, not only can it not make the drik visible, the drik is the one that makes the sun visible. There is no sun without you. Tasya bhasa sarvamidam vibhati. This is an amazing fact. You, on the other hand, as we will see better and better, don't need any help. You're independently awareful. What needs help is if you want to take yourself as a human being. So when you say somebody is dead, somebody has died, Atma does not die. But the expression of the jiva has taken a pause, has changed. That's it. Atma cannot die. You cannot die. You cannot die. Even if you try, supposing you were to do prayers to Ishvara and say, please, can you please kill my Atma? He says, no, I can't do that. Can't do that. Not possible. That's the only thing which is impossible, to kill. Forget about killing, to even change. You'll say, okay, but then just make a small change. No. Because change, death, birth is only possible if you are aware. If you are not aware, it is not even there. For you, for each one of us, just take it, don't say that somebody's Atma died. I heard. This requires more discussion, we will go into that. But just at this point, just to keep it short and focused, this prakriya of sentience and lifelessness, of Chaitana and Jada, needs to be understood from the element of truth, which is that Chaitana for us is not relative Chaitana, it is absolute Chaitana. One good example, I think, is that of the modern conversion of electricity into appliances. That's a good example. So if you look at, somewhere it's not the absolute example, but it's relatively good example. So if you look at that, electricity is the one that does not light up things directly. What it needs is, if you want to light some things up, you need an appropriate appliance of converting the electricity into a lighting appliance, like a bulb. So in that sense, just look at this. This is the truth. Sun is an appliance. You are the electricity. This is interesting. Because what happens is that the electricity cannot directly light up. There is no created light. So there is a possibility of converting electricity into a lighting appliance. Same thing on a heating appliance, on a cooling appliance. So various appliances. So the life of appliances is at a lower level than that of the electricity. So in that sense, electricity is nirgunaha, relatively speaking, even though it also has some gunas, but relatively speaking, electricity is nirgunaha. And it has the ability to impart guna. See, this is what we were talking about, the 8 gunas of the Atma. This is a good example. That Atma by itself is nirguna. But it has the ability to have 8 gunas or 12 gunas or however sattva guna, whatever it is, want to do that. So therefore, we should see the enormity of this. And we sell ourselves so short. I'm just a small person. You are not a small person. You are the person. The sun depends on you. They cannot be without you. The appliance cannot function without electricity. So the sun, it's interesting, just look at this. Just like we saw that the appliance, a lighted bulb, is important for transactions. So it's really interesting when the electricity was, this is amazing. Can you believe that for thousands of years there was no electricity? Just imagine. It was interesting when I was I was working for IBM, and remember I was telling you that I promised my mother that I will do my PhD and all those kinds of things. So anyway, I didn't do my PhD. I just finished after my master's, and but then I had kept my promise, and I really admire Pammi because she thought she was emigrating to the US for good when she married me. But I told her that, I had promised my mom I'll be back. It took 5-6 years, but after that I took a job with IBM in India. And then this is 1971, in the middle of the Pakistani war, and two things happened. My asthma came back, because I was very asthmatic in India. Here I remain okay. All the dust and so on. Really, the reason I'm not in India is not because of money, it's because of my health. And when I went back there, all those problems came back. And there were some problems with IBM and so on. So anyway, I'm just giving you, there's nothing to do with the story. The story is that I was given a very good job in Jamshedpur. I was going to become a sales rep in charge of Tisco and Telco. And IBM has an office, and people were saying, wow, you're going to make a lot of money, you're going to be a big boss. So I don't know whether I bought the car myself or IBM gave it to me, but in any case, there was a driver given to me, and we said we'll just go by car from New Delhi to Jamshedpur. So we started driving. I think Pammi was not there. She must have gone home to Firozpur. And interestingly I found, because there was a long journey over 3 days, all the villages at sundown will just shut down. There was a lot of activity and so on. As soon as sundown occurs, there's no traffic. There were some small lights in people's so on and so forth. Many of these villages had no electricity. Fascinating, really, it was just amazing. So imagine that there was, I can't imagine on the days of India's 1000, I don't know when, they must have had electricity before and got liberated. I think so. But still, it is a very interesting thing that on all these years, electricity was not there. So, you need electricity to transact, to do some things. Therefore, you need the sun to transact. This is the ultimate appliance, God-sent appliance. Ishvara himself says, okay, this is what it is. Excuse me. And not only that, from a relative level, now you have reflected light from Chandrama, which doesn't have its own light. This is the interesting thing. Maybe we'll find some time to really discuss it. So, Dakshinamurti has the sun and the moon on its forehead. Okay? And what it shows is that life consists of the original light and reflected light. So in some ways you can say that the sun at this level is the electricity, or it is the primary source of light, and this Chandrama is the reflected light. And both are necessary because reflected light is what gives anatma through the mind. That's why the mind is very influenced by the moon. A lot of things to talk about. I won't go into all of that. But coming back to the main discussion, the sun and the moon and all of the stars are necessary for drishya, but not for the drik. Transactions happen in drishya level, not at the drik level. Changes happen at the drishya level. Drik is independent, unchanging, quiet, shantam. Doesn't need the sun. You need the sun if you want to be a human being. And you want to be a human being because you don't know who you are. Human being is also a role. But if you understand that you don't need to be a human being. Remember, I was telling you about this quiz that I gave to my students, asking them, are you alive or not? And most of them must have thought, what kind of a question is that? It's a kind of like a trick question. And I think one or two people kind of got it. You are not alive. You are. There's no question of being. See, this is the same thing that we're talking here. You are. You are awareful. Aliveness is just a appliance. It can come and go, but the electricity is not. The appliance can. That's exactly what happens. See, this is what, when we see people and say, oh, too bad my mother died. So when your mother dies, who dies? So your mother as an appliance, yes, it has a shelf life. Cannot exist forever. But in that example, the electricity does not have a shelf life. It is the basic. So your mother really is not dead. She has just decided to be expressive in another appliance. That's all. But the electricity does not, there's no change in it. So therefore, the entire structure, this is what is called Adibhutam, Adhyatmikam, Adidaivam. All these three things that Ishvara gives you. Ishvara gives you three things which are part of the expression of life. See, what are the three things? So one is Adibhutam. Adibhutam means things that you see, the variety of things that you see. The second one is Adidaivatam. Daivatam means that the principles that make the bhutas work. The devatas behind each one of the bhutas. Like, for example, there is you can, even from a normal standpoint, you can say that suppose there is, when you do exercises, supposing you have a muscle problem and you want to strengthen your muscle, there is a devata means that there are laws of muscle building. When you want to correct your heart problems, there is a heart principle for heart, for blood. So there are devatas behind each one of them. Devatas means some principles, alive principles, common principles that are common to everybody. This is called Adi Daivatam. And last thing it needs is your mind. Because without your mind, there is nothing alive. So, Adhyatmikam. So therefore, for transactional view, all this is needed. Starting with the sun. Then the Pancha Mahabhutas. Then your Pancha Jnana Indriyas, Karma Indriyas, all this is what is called Prapancha. All this is needed in order for you to be a human being, to transact, to have a life, to talk to people, your name, all of that. This is all necessary. But this is all for the drishya, not for the drik. The drik doesn't need it. And it's temporarily stuck with it because you are putting drishya into the drik. There is a mixer. Independent. So much so, you don't need the sun to be alive. You are not alive, you are. When you say, I know, you don't, this feeling of I know is not dependent on your body. Not. This is Chit Swarupam, independent of any kind of the worldly appliance thing. So this prakriya again it is pointed out in the first verse. Beautiful. Rupam drishyam lochanam drik. Drishya. This is all transactional. Tad drishyam driktu manasam. Drishyaha dhidrittayahas sakshi what is it? Sakshi eva natu drishyate. It is independent. It is independent. And so the analysis of Jada and Chaitanya and its final conclusion constitutes the second prakriya, which is Jada Chaitanya Prakriya Vichara. So we will stop at that. I think there's 5 more minutes to go. You know what? Why don't I just go through the third prakriya also in very short order, and then we will we'll continue on. So let's go on. So there's the third prakriya, and this is sort of like a more, you might call it important prakriya. All things are important, but this is the ultimate one. This prakriya is the distinction between Sat and Asat. Satyam and Asatyam. And all related. These are all, they are all different aspects of the same thing. Same kind of a prakriya. The Sat means what? How will we define Sat? Sat means one which is never not true. Never. And from that standpoint, Asat here doesn't mean never true, although you can see that it is never true. Swami Dayananda used to give the example that, the classical example is Vandya Putra. But these days with artificial insemination, etc., things become very complicated. So, the horns of a man or a woman are not there, never possible, not there. This is called Asat. But in the Vedantic way, Asat is defined as follows. Exactly the same thing as appliance versus electricity. Asat is defined as something which is conditionally there. Sometimes there, sometimes not there. And this is realistically, this is the contribution of Advaita Vedanta, is to clearly talk about a kind of an intermediate stage called mithya. And before we get so mithya, I don't know what it is. Very simple. The wave of an ocean, from the standpoint, if you say that the water is sat, it's always there, would you consider the wave to be sat or asat? You cannot say it's either. Because actually it is sat, but the very shape of the wave, the very behavior of the wave, it is there. You can see it. It's not as though it is not there. But it is conditionally there. It began at a particular time. It will disappear at a particular time. And it's changing while it is there. And it depends on the Sat. So the third prakriya that we will continue on in the evening class will be, there's not much more to do, it's very specific, is drishya is mithya. Drik is satyam. So, both from the standpoint, all three from the standpoint of Ananda, Satchit Ananda, we have to do that analysis. From the standpoint of Chit and from the standpoint of Sat. See all three of them, how they all is the same thing in three parts. Not parts, three aspects. Forgive me, there's no parts. Aspects is a kind of a good word because there are three. People say that Atma should be completely nirguna. When you say Sat and Chit and Ananda, there are three different things. They are not three different things. That's why I think Satyam in the Brihadaran, in the Taittiriya Upanishad, beautiful. Satyam Jnanam Anantam. So, Swami Dayananda used to say that really there is complete consistency between Satyam Jnanam Anantam and Sat Chit Ananda. Anantyam is actually Ananda. Because what creates our anxiety, our fears, our doubts is that I will end one day. Ananda is interrupted by an unseen fear. We may not express it. People don't go around saying, oh, my life is going to end one day. Nobody does that. It's a very interesting thing. Nobody does that. But deep down below, your Ananda is tainted by the fact that this may be temporary. I don't know how long you will last. And even doesn't have to be a total loss of life, but even a simple Ananda, you know it is very conditional and so on. So, therefore, until we see the Anantyam, Satyam Jnanam Anantam, we'll actually go into this a little bit. There's some technical analysis that we have to do. I don't know when we will do that, but I know that I have to do that, so we will talk about it, which is the technical analysis between Parichinnatvam, Avachinnatvam, and Aparichinnatvam. All of that we will do in one of the subsequent classes. Om Asato Ma Satgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityor Ma Amritam Gamaya Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. I think Indra was going to come today, but